And welcome back. In this video, we are going to continue with the document we are creating for a letter from the Village of Apple Park. So in the last video, we created the letterhead, which is what businesses will typically put on a letter that they're going to send out. The school has a letterhead that they use. In one of your assignments after we finish this project, you're actually going to be creating your own personal letterhead. And this is all you have to do for that part of it. And so we'll go ahead and continue from here. So I am clicked on the line directly below the line we just added. I'm going to go ahead and press enter. And then I'm going to go back to my regular left margin. Okay, on this line, we want to put the date. And I want my date to not be centered, not be left aligned or right aligned, but I want it to be at the 4-inch mark on the ruler. By the way, guys, if your ruler is not showing, you can go up here to view and do show ruler. I always show the ruler on everything that I'm working in. So I may have skipped that because I just assume everybody else has a ruler. So that will give me the top ruler and the side ruler. So I'm going to go to the 4-inch mark and I want to set a tab. So what I'm going to do is click on the 4 and I'm going to do add left tab stop. So what left tab stop is going to do, it's going to make sure that all of my text is lined up here on the left side. Center tab means that the text would be centered in across the tab, not across the page, but from the tab. And a right tab stop, typically you use this whenever you're doing like a header at the top with your name. It needs to be right aligned. So like it's always going to line up here on this side, and then your text is going to come out this direction. So we're going to do a left tab stop at the 4. So you can see here it put a little blue dot there. So now whenever I press tab, it's moving me over to that 4-inch mark. So otherwise, tab only will move you half an inch at a time. So here I'm going to type my date. So use whatever the current date is. Today is October. Not even sure. I'm going to go with the 27th, comma space, 2019. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and press enter. You'll notice it's going to return me over here. I'm trying to point in the camera over here to the left. And we're going to press enter 2 more times. So I pressed enter a total of 3 times. And I'm going to put the inside address. The inside address is who this is going to. You are mailing this to Miss Tamara Lee at Tam's Artistic Designs, 1587 Willow Road in Juniper, Montana, which is MT, and then 33522. Okay. So that's who it's mailing to. That's also what would go on your envelope. Or if you're using a window envelope, it's what's going to show through there. Okay, we're going to press enter twice to leave 1 blank line. And we're ready to put the salutation. The salutation is where you type dear. And you put who the letter is going to. This is going to Tamara. Oops, and I already see that I made a mistake up here. So remember, guys, spell check does not catch everything. So I fixed that. So we're going to go Dear Miss Lee. So, and then I'm going to put a colon because this is a business letter. I do have to press the shift key to get the colon. So how do you address this? Should I say Dear Miss Lee, Dear Miss Tamara, Dear Miss Tamara Lee? Well, it depends on what kind of letter you're writing. A personal letter, you would have written Dear Miss Tam or Dear Tamara. But because this is a business letter, typically you address people with their last name. So Dear Miss Lee, okay? Then we're going to press enter twice to leave a blank line. And we're ready to type our paragraph. If you need to pause, I'm going to go ahead and pause while I type the paragraph. And then you guys can join me back. Okay, so I have finished typing my paragraph. And we're ready to go on. By the way, I did notice a couple typos that I had up here. Sorry, guys, I'm not so used to typing on this small Chromebook keyboard that I'm recording from. So do make sure that you are checking that you don't have any errors. So after I have typed this paragraph that you can see tells me that we're going to have a table below it. That should not be a period after vendors. We need a colon there. And the reason why we're putting a colon is because we're going to say, look at the table that follows. So I put a colon and I'm going to press enter twice because we want to leave a blank line between the paragraph and the table. So now I'm going to go to insert table, and it's going to ask me how big I want my table. So let's just go with a 3 by 2 so that I can show you how to expand your table. So I'm going to go over, nope, let's make it 2 columns wide, 3 rows long. So a 2 by 3 is what we're going to do. Click, and I'm going to get my table. So I have already realized that I did not insert enough columns. So I don't have to just start over. What I can do is right click in the right far column, and I'm going to do insert column to the right. You could also do left if you wanted to insert it after you'd already done some typing. So now we have our 3 columns. So I'm going to start over here on the left and start typing in the information. Activity, event dates, and times. I am pressing tab to go between cells. Every box is called a cell. These are columns. They go up and down, and rows go across. Okay, I'm going to press tab. That's going to take me down to the next row. So we're going to have booth setup, tab, which is on Friday, October 27th. Tab from 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock p.m. and it's space P period M period. That is how you should be abbreviating your PM. Press tab. It's going to take us to the next row where we're going to learn about our booth sales. That will happen on Saturday, October 28th from 9 o'clock space A period M period to 6 o'clock space P period M period. Okay, so make sure that whenever you have times like here, the 5 o'clock was a PM, so you only have to list the PM once. The 9 o'clock is AM, so we obviously have to do that. And again, typing on the Chromebook, it's also lagging, so it's not putting my letter up until a couple seconds after I type. Okay, so I need another row. So I could go to right click and insert row below, but the great thing about this, and this does it in Word too, is press tab and it will automatically give you a new row. Okay, I'm double checking, make sure I've got everything spelled correctly, make sure my times are correct, because whenever you're sending out a letter, it is very, very important not to make mistakes on it. In FBLA, we call that readability. Also, it's important to make sure that your times and dates are correct because this is a letter. Vendors are buying a booth space. Tam's Artistic Designs has designed a booth space at this craft show. And if I had put the wrong times in here, she may not realize that booth setup is on Friday night. Or if I had put that the booth sales were starting at 10 o'clock, she may have had other plans and not even been there in time to sell. So it's important to do this correctly. Okay, so after we have finished the table, I'm going to just click down below it and I will be able to add more information. We're going to go ahead and finish typing this information, then we're going to come back and format the table. So again, my typing on the Chromebook is not going well. So make sure you are correcting everything. Okay, I'm going to press enter after this colon, and because I'm going to now put in a bulleted list. So to do a bulleted list, I'm going to come up here to the bullet button, and I'm just going to click the normal first one. I am putting periods after these bullets because these are full and complete sentences. If your bullets are not sentences, do not put periods. Again, correcting any mistakes. Okay, so I have my 3 bullets in there. I'm going to press enter and it's going to give me a new bullet. I don't need another bullet, so if I press enter again, it takes it away. I do want to press enter one more time so I can start my final paragraph. And again, I'm going to pause while I type. Okay, and I have got my paragraph typed, so make sure you have got yours typed too. Okay, I'm going to press enter twice because I'm done with my paragraph. And at this point, I'm ready to do my complimentary close. This is where we're going to put the sincerely part. I also want it tabbed over to 4 so I can look up here. Oh, I thought we had our tab at 4. We do. So here it's showing me that I've got a tab at 4.5. That's not what I want. I don't know how I accidentally got that one. But what I can do, this will be a good way to show you, is I'm down here. I want this on 4. So when you set a tab, it will apply to everything coming below that tab that you just set. So I can click on this blue mark and drag it back to the 4. Okay. If I want to get rid of a tab, I would click on it and drag it off the ruler and it goes away. So I'm just going to undo that to bring it back. So we do want to make sure our tab is at 4. We're going to hit the tab button and we're going to type sincerely, comma, space, enter 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, press tab again. Should still be going to the 4. I want you to type your name. I know I have a mistake. I'll fix it. Enter, tab again. And we want to do Park District Events Coordinator. That is your title. I'm going to come up here and fix sincerely. So one problem that I'm seeing is that my letter is going on to 2 pages. Now that's fine if it's a really long letter. However, this is just where I sign. We do not want to have another page that has my name. So we can do some adjusting to this. It looks like I've accidentally entered twice here before the table, so I'm going to take that out. Okay, and I'm probably going to move my top margin. So right here, you can see between the white and the gray on my ruler, I can put my mouse there and I can just drag that up. Let's drag it up to about 1/2 inch. It's going to move that letterhead up. And now everything is fitting on 1 page. To get rid of the second page, click on it and hit backspace. You may have to do that a couple times to get rid of that second page. Okay. So I'm looking at this and this looks okay, but I could really fancy this up a little bit more with my table area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click in the table. And you know what? I don't even have a title for my table. Every table needs a title. So I need another line above here. So I'm going to right click or 2-finger click if you're on the Chromebook. And I'm going to do insert row above. It's going to give me a new row. And I'm going to type my title. Vendor timetable. Okay. Except this should be centered across the whole thing. So what I'm going to do is highlight those 3 cells or select them. I want to merge those cells together. So I'm going to right click and come down till where I find merge cells. Merge cells is going to combine them all into 1 cell. Merge cells. And then I can hit my center button up here on my toolbar. And I have my vendor table. Okay. So the next thing I want to do is add some color to my table. So I'm going to select my entire table by dragging through it. And I'm going to change all of my borders to red. So there's a couple ways to do it. I'm going to start by showing you this one. I want you to do this with me. On border color, I'm going to click and turn that red. Okay, that's going to give it a little bit of difference. Let's go ahead and see what happens if we turn all of our font to be red. So that's going to be this A button with text color. We'll make it red. All right. And this is our title. And these are our headings. So let's go ahead and make those bold. that makes those stand out a little bit more. I think what I want to do is this row here, because those are our headings and those are pretty important. I'm going to go ahead and shade that. So I'm going to shade it with the paint bucket. That went away on me. There's my paint bucket. Shade those red. Okay. And now, of course, I cannot see my words. So let's come in here. So in Word, you can actually do some more, but let's go ahead and see what happens if we do custom here. And whenever you do custom, like right now, here's my color over here with this dot. So I want to add more white to that to make it a light red. So I'm just going to drag that over to about the middle and hit OK. So now my words are going to show up. And you know what? That's going to make it easy to read. So let's go ahead and do every other row like that. So with this row, we're going to go ahead and shade it red. I want to make sure I'm not missing any of them. So whenever I go to background color this time, you can see the color I just used is down here in the bottom because that's my recently used one. So I want to make sure that I'm using the exact same color of red. So I'm going to hit this custom one. Okay. And I think for this vendor timetable, I'm going to go ahead and increase that font to like a size 12 just to make it a little bit bigger. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Oops, but we're not on our page again. So let me show you something else we can do with our table. So I'm going to select my whole table, going to two-finger click or right click. I'm going to go to table properties. And here you see where it says cell padding. This is how much room should be on the top or bottom of a cell or on the side. So it's a 0.69. I'm going to see what happens if I make that a 0.04. So there's less padding. And I'm also going to change my cell alignment to be in the middle. That way my words are centered between the top and bottom of the cell. Hit OK. There we go. Can you see how that like shrunk up the rows so they're not so wide? And then I was able to fit all on one page. So you may need to adjust a little bit more there or adjust a margin. You can also adjust a bottom margin, but we want to make sure that we're all fitting on one page. Okay, I want you to double check, make sure you have 3 blank lines. We should have 3 blank lines after sincerely. Let me double check this. So I'm there. There's 1 blank line, 2 blank line, 3 blank line. Oh, nope, I need 1 more. So I really want 3 blank lines here between sincerely. So the reason why I want that is because this is where you're going to sign your letter. So we're not going to sign it here, but if you were going to print this out, you would print it and sign it before you put it in the envelope to mail it. Okay. So if you're working in Microsoft Word, you could actually then create an envelope or labels using this address and you would not have to retype it. However, I have not found a way in Google Docs yet to do the letters and labels with the mail merge. So, okay, double check for anything misspelled. And that is all for this one. And then you're going to have a couple of assignments you're going to do on your own. There will be a lab with instructions. And then you're going to be creating your own personal letterhead. So whenever you do that, remember you're just creating this top part. You'll need a box, you'll need some pictures, you'll need some information here, and then you'll do the line, and then you will stop with that. Okay, thanks for joining me.